Hey everybody, welcome here to Musician's Edition. I'm Evan on the guitar here in this one, and in this video we're going to be diving into some less common chords. We're going to be deviating away from our typical major minor triads, even away from those seventh chords, and we're going to talk about sus chords. So sus chords are not suspicious, they are not sustained, these are suspended chords. These are very good in giving us an extra bit of tension, suspending us with some tension before we end up on a resolution right afterwards. So we're going to talk about why we use these, the chord shapes to be able to use them on the guitar, and we'll play a song that uses them as well too. So while sus is not suspicious, they do kind of give off that feeling because they're supposed to sound incomplete or like mysterious chords. Because what we're doing here is we're taking the typical 1, 3, 5 triad that we would have, we're taking out the 3 and we're substituting either the 2 or the 4 in its place. So our sus chords can either be a sus2, where we input the 2 in there, or they can be a sus4 where we input the 4 in there. But the biggest thing missing here is we have no 3, which means we don't know whether our chord is a major or a minor chord, which is why it sounds incomplete. So we have this lack of clarity that makes it more mysterious, and that gives us extra tension here because it's not a good resolving point not knowing what kind of chord we're playing. And so this is most frequently used leading into a more resolving chord. So typically two ways we'll do this. We'll either have a sus2 or sus4 leading into the regular major or minor 1, 3, 5 triad of that same chord. For example, a D sus4 resolving into a D is a pretty common one. Or another way to use this where we resolve on a different chord would be we want to land on a chord that has that third in it, so we can hear that resolving sound of that third that we've been missing. So that could be, think of a C major chord, that's C, E, G. If we play a C sus, either 2 or 4, the note that's missing is the E in the middle. So our next chord afterwards, we would want to resolve on something that has that E to give us that feeling of completeness that we were missing. So it could be going from a C sus resolving to an E chord, or another chord that contains the E in it. So that's two ways that these are frequently used. Commonly as this being the chord before your final resolving chord. So again, it could be a D sus resolving to a D, a C sus resolving to a C, that same chord, just the complete triad, or resolving onto a chord that has that third we were missing. So again, like a C sus landing on an E chord. So however we use it as a tension that then gets resolved, and as we should know in music, we create tension and then resolve it. This is an extra way to give us even more tension away from just relying on minor chords or certain kinds of seventh chords. This is something else that can really boost up that tension for us so we can have a really nice resolution afterwards. All right, so we're going to talk about shapes, whether we have the root note being on the D string, the A string, or the E string, and we can use those shapes to bar all across the fretboard to really create these for any kind of chord that we would want to be making. So let's start off with if we were to have the D string being our root note. So on the D string, playing the D chord, we can get a D sus4 or a D sus2. So again, the D sus4, we're doing a 1, 4, 5, versus that D sus2, we'd be doing a 1, 2, 5. So D sus4, if you know our typical D major shape, it is like this. And for D sus4, we are sliding one of our fingers up, or in this case, I'm going to use my pinky on this high E string here. We're going to go ring finger right above it, and then we can use our index finger on the string back here on the 2nd fret, and then we play that D still openly. So there's your shape for that. D sus4. So I mentioned one common resolution is a D sus4 to a regular D. That would be like this. D sus4 back to D. Okay, there's that resolution. So again, that's our D sus4, one of our options to have a bit more tension. We have no major third, we have no third at all, and it's been replaced by our 4th. And D sus2, or we're going to go the other direction with that high E string, and we're just going to lift off of it. So now we're only fretting with our index and what could be our ring or our middle finger. The ring's more comfortable for me. High E string is open, as well as our D string is open, and here's our D sus2. So this is a 1, 2, 5 that we're playing. You can see how this resolves back to D as well if we play D sus2 to D. All right, so that is D sus4 and D sus2.
This lesson is brought to you by the Musician's Edition practice book. Make goals and keep track of progress throughout the whole year. When you're done with this video lesson, don't forget to mark this practice time in your Musician's Edition practice book. Now back to the video.
All right, let's move down to the A string. So we're gonna look at the A chords we can use for this. We can play A sus4 and A sus2, just like we did with D. So let's look at those shapes. So here is our shape. We are not playing low E. We're gonna start off with that A string. We are gonna go ahead and fret our index finger on the 2nd fret of the D string. Middle finger can go on the 2nd fret of the string above. And then we can put our ring or our pinky finger on the 3rd fret of the string above that one there. So there's the shape you can see. High E is open, A is open, and we've got 2, 2, 3 otherwise. So here is my A sus4. Playing the 1, 4, 5 notes. We can resolve this back to regular A as well too, by just shifting that one finger back over and playing the 2nd frets here. That's our regular A shape. We just added this one up here for the 4th. We can resolve that back down to regular A. All right, and that is A sus4. Let's go to A sus2, which is again just done by lifting up a finger. So we're now just fretting 2nd fret and 2nd fret here with 3 strings played openly, the A and these 2 highest strings. All right, so 2 fingers fretting for A sus2. Pretty easy. And now we can talk about barring these and moving them across. Especially this A sus2 is really easy to do while barred, the A sus4 a little bit harder. So if I were to bar on just the 5th fret here, I want to keep this same shape. I can do this by going 2 frets higher, and I'm going to play those 2 strings I needed to play for the A sus2, so leaving my root open and fretting the 2 after that. Okay, so we get this shape here. A is open. I'm fretting the 2 strings right below A there. And here is A sus2. Played in that bar shape. I'm on the 5th fret, which is D, so this is really D sus2. I can slide this all over. And that's my barred shape for this sus2 on the A string. If I want to do A sus4, it's a little bit harder. I'm going to use my index finger to bar again. I'm going to use middle finger on 2 frets higher, ring finger on the one below there, and then pinky is freed up to go to that 3rd fret higher right here. All right, so E and A are played with the barred finger, and then I've got 2, 2, 3 after that. That same A sus4 shape, now just being barred. Okay, again, we can slide this all over. Gets a bit easier as you go higher up because they're not so far spaced out, these frets. All right, that is our A sus2 and A sus4, openly with A or barred and moved around. And our last one is going to be on E. With E, we can only do E sus4 because to play E sus2, we'd actually have to go like 1 extra fret back that way, which we can't do unless we tune our guitar. So we're just going to look at E sus4 on this low E. And that is just by doing 2nd fret, 2nd fret, 2nd fret. Low E is open, then we got 2, 2, 2, and then open on the top 2 highest. So E sus4. All right, there's your shape, that's how you do that. Again, resolving E sus4, we can resolve that to regular E major. Okay, That's our resolution there. But that is our E sus4 shape. We can again bar this and move it anywhere. So if I bar the 5th fret, I just have to put 3 fingers here, 2 frets higher from where I'm barring. So again, leaving that E open, middle finger, ring finger, and pinky all bar 2 frets higher. I can move that all around. And that is my E sus4 shape barred and moved around anywhere. So that gives you your chord shapes. We can now play it with the root note as our D string, with the root note as our A, the root note as our E, moved all around with our bar chords to play any chord in that sus2 or sus4 shape. So now all that is left for us to do is look at a song example to play along to, and we've got one that is very popular. That is going to be Free Fallin'. So Free Fallin' uses these sus shapes, and we're going to go ahead and practice them here. Sus chords are used in a variety of genres. They kind of pop up all over. Jazz, always uses these really complex chords, but they do pop up in rock songs all over, so it's always great to add your repertoire, give you something new to add that bit of tension to it. So let's go ahead and look at Free Fallin'. All right, so for Free Fallin', what we're gonna have is a loop of 3 chords we're gonna look at, 2 of those being sus chords. So to play this in the accurate key, you are gonna need your capo on the 1st fret. If you don't have that, it's gonna sound a little bit lower than what I'm playing. You can still do these same shapes, still get the idea of sus chords, but you're gonna want this to have it be in the original key of the song, which is F. The shapes we're gonna be using is an E chord, a regular E major chord shape. You should know that one. Here's the box for it though. We're gonna play A sus2, which we just learned. A sus2 is gonna be played with open A. I'm just gonna do 2nd fret on the 2 frets. That's 2 above where our capo is, so really the 3rd fret overall. Right here, not playing low E, you're gonna start from that A string, fret down. That's A sus2. Again, just 2 fingers fretting here on that 2nd fret above the capo. After that, we're gonna come back to E momentarily, and then we're gonna finish off on B sus4. We're gonna play B sus4 by putting our index finger on the 2nd fret above the capo here. And then we're gonna do 2 fingers, 2 frets higher than that. So 4th fret above the capo, or this is our 5th fret overall. We're gonna play these top 2 strings actually open, not barred. So we're just gonna play 2, 4, 4. Again, that's in relation to where our capo is. 2 above, then 4 above. 2, 4, 4, and then open, open. So you should get this. And that's gonna be our B sus4 chord. So all 3 chords we have is E major. We're gonna go to that A sus2. We're gonna come briefly back to that E major before we land on B sus4. And so all together, we're gonna get this. So that's pretty much our loop. We can do this without the additional strums and just strum on our chord changes. And that gets us starting off on E like this. That's our movement from E major to A sus2 again. Just really moving 2 fingers up. So my 2 fingers are here. I'm just moving them up to here and then lifting up on that one that's on the 1st fret, this guy. Just moving my middle and index, just move my middle and ring fingers down. So get good on that movement, not too hard. All right, on this last one, I'm gonna strum one more time on this one here, this A sus2, and then I'm gonna do a very quick E major. It's gonna be like this. Okay. And then I'm gonna make that jump up to my B chord we're playing, right here. This is the part to really get down here. A sus, down to E, up to that B sus. One more time. A little bit closer so you can see the change. So A sus right here, Bringing back that E major shape, just moving our middle and ring fingers up and putting that index finger down. So, then we're gonna slide, index finger goes to that 2nd fret, get your ring finger and pinky fingers ready on that 4th fret above. That's kind of our hardest change from this E major to that B sus. So work on that chord change. And all together here, those 3 from A sus to E to B. All right, and so our full movement here is, really what our full loop is gonna be is E major to A sus. Here's our change. And we end up on that B sus right there. Then we come back to E, and that's pretty much our loop we're gonna go with. So here it is. There it is, back again. That's our loop we're gonna stick with. You can add in the additional strums, and what you're gonna get is this. Okay, and that's it. So let's play this one more time all together here. Let's practice just those strums by themselves. Practice those changes on your own as well too if you're struggling with any of them. Just the chord strums, then we'll do one after with those the full strumming pattern to it. So here it is. 1, 2, here we go. Let's go one more time. Now let's add in that strumming pattern. Kind of changes with each one, but it's going to be something like this. So let's go ahead and count that one in. 1, 2, here we go. So that is it for us here with Free Fallin', practicing those 2 sus chords, sus2 and sus4, as well as your explanation about how you can use these. So again, take this into your guitar playing as a new kind of chord you can utilize. You can see how it can be useful, the properties that it has to it to bring us that extra tension with these suspended chords. So have fun playing, and we'll see you next time.